Business Access TV is here at the JSC Core Competencies to Excel as a Corporate Secretary. I'm your host, Andrew Laidley. Please stay with us.
I wish to welcome you to yet another workshop, Corporate Secretaries Workshop. As you know, we have these workshops each year, and the reason we continue to do so is that we feel that we should be at the cutting edge of any changes that is occurring in whether locally or globally. We feel that the workshops have been beneficial to us so far, and that with each day when we have these changes, we should continue to look at educating the persons in this industry. This morning and this workshop is very special, as we will be hosting, it is being hosted in association with the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. And as we move towards introducing the Corporate Governance Index, I think today is especially important so that we can see how this can be incorporated into what we do as company secretaries and others within the industry. It is especially important that we look at this to see how our companies will score higher in terms of corporate governance. Today is intended to be a very good workshop based on the persons who will be presenting. So I invite you to stay tuned, ask the relevant questions, and ensure that when we leave here, we can implement what we have learned.
The Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators is an institution that certifies secretaries, chartered secretaries, and I believe it is the only institution in the world that does that. It's incorporated by Royal Charter and has its base in England, London, England. And our dear leader, Simon Osborne, is the CEO of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries. In Jamaica, we have the Association of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, which is a branch of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries. Today, we are very happy to be hosting this seminar with the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and I hope that what we present today, you might find something to take away from it, because we are going to try to give you something practical that you can use in your everyday life.
Governance has to suit each jurisdiction. One size cannot fit all. Even within a peer group of companies engaged in similar activities, similar business, because the dynamic is going to be different, because the business conditions are going to be different, the governance framework will necessarily be different. And as you comply or explain, also within a peer group of companies doing the same, broadly the same activity, you will find that they comply in different ways. And that's the beauty of a code of principles. So what do we mean by governance? The Cadbury definition, the process by which an organization is directed or controlled. The other perceived virtue of corporate governance on the part of politicians and policymakers is that it leads to increased opportunities and choice for all. Now that's one of those wonderful glib expressions that rolls off the tongue of a politician. And it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But what on earth does it mean? As a political aspiration, it's great. Opportunities and choice for all. Hurrah, yeah, we'll all vote for that. But can we really expect corporate governance to deliver such an overtly political objective? I'll leave that one hanging in the air. Poor old Bob Diamond, he gets a bit of a caning over this one. He did actually say that corporate governance is not how you behave when you think no one is watching. He did actually say that. But I think it's a good reminder that, there's no point trying to do one thing, say one thing and do another. That sort of hypocrisy, you'll get found out eventually. The truth will always out. Governance is concerned with the exercise of power, the role of directors, the responsibilities of shareholders, and how those are balanced. And it also deals with disclosure, transparency, accountability, internal control, and making sure you avoid that concentration of power in too few hands. Hence the desire, it's now become standard, certainly in the UK. America's finding it harder, but actually separating the roles of chairman and chief executive so that you achieve a more constructive tension at the top levels in the C-suite. What are some of the governance hot topics? Well, I don't know what it's like here, but remuneration in the UK never ceases to amaze me. And the way in which non-executive directors serving on remuneration committees aren't smelling the coffee, I just don't get it. But and the United States is just as bad. And what that is leading to is remuneration which is detached from performance, or levels of remuneration detached from performance, are just leading to increasing inequality of wealth. And I think that could lead to unfortunate consequences socially. And it's something that has to be tackled. Hot topic. Legal risk has risen up the scale of corporate risks. The whole board diversity thing, gender is a major factor, but there is no doubt about it, board behaviour improves the more women join the board. And I know that from my own experience, funny enough, in a charity where I was deputy chair and I chaired the nomination committee. And I had to wield the knife. I removed 6 older male trustees, brought in 4 ladies, all of whom were younger. The average age came down. The speed with which business was transacted improved. Shorter board meetings, I'll drink to that, made a difference. Now that's one example, but I think there's no doubt about it that I think the presence of women in boardrooms adds beneficially to the decision-making process. You've got the whole responsible capitalism issue, the managing of stakeholders and accountability to wider stakeholders. And that, interestingly, has led to the appointment of a committee now for a code of governance for private companies. I think that's long overdue in the UK. When you think about some of the bigger private companies, and I'm sure you've got them here, if one of those collapses, the impact on the economy and on the government could be significant. And then the whole question of board evaluations. Following the financial crisis, ICSA did some work on boardroom behaviours, the conclusion of which were 4 uncomfortable truths. Well-run companies can make strategic and sometimes catastrophic misjudgments. Risk management not properly overseen, monitored or reviewed by the board. Often it was just left to the audit committee. It's a board responsibility, is oversight of risk. Remuneration and incentivization not aligned with shareholders' interests, and a failure to inform stakeholders, not just shareholders, stakeholders, sufficiently. That work we did identified 3 areas needing attention. Institutional. Are corporate governance policies and architecture fit for purpose? Has management installed adequate processes and systems? And are directors exhibiting appropriate behaviours? So we had there the institutional, the organisational, and the behavioural. Now, we identified in that work that good practice boardroom behaviour was characterised by those 9 features. So clear understanding of the board's role. The board is there to oversee the management of the business. The board is not there to manage the business. And non-executive directors forget it's a case of noses in, fingers out. They smell the state of the business, they don't finger it. Does this business pass the smell test? Once the non-executive directors start interfering in the management of the business, it's very hard to hold an executive to account. You can't. You've syndicated the responsibility and the liability. Appropriate deployment of knowledge, skills, experience and judgment. So what balance of those have you got on the board? Independent thinking. Assumptions and established orthodoxy need to be questioned. Challenge has to be constructive. If people come onto a board full of suspicion or just trying to show off what a tough guy I am, I'll show these executives up for a load of incompetent idiots. If that's the mentality which a non-executive has, they're asking for trouble, because it will just lead to tension, in fact conflict on the board. Non-executive directors have to be constructive friends of the management team. Can't overemphasize that, constructive friends. Yes, and it's knowing how to challenge in a way which doesn't put people's backs up. And it requires a skill, emotional intelligence for a start. Yes, there has to be rigorous debate. The decision-making environment has to be supportive. There needs to be a shared vision. And for the chair, it's vital to close each item of business in a timely way, not let it go round and round and round ad nauseam. That's not the way to do it.
We go to a short break. More when we return.
Take the guesswork out of improving your IT infrastructure. The field of IT changes so quickly that it can be hard to plan a strategy while keeping up with technological advancements. Yet, without a strategic roadmap built on data-driven insights, your staff can be overworked, spending excessive time putting out technical fires, instead of focusing on strategic tasks that fulfill core business needs. Our IT consulting services are the first step towards transforming your enterprise IT and improving your business efficiency. Our experts have the industry experience and best-in-class tools to methodically assess your entire support operation. We look at your IT support services holistically, identifying improvement areas that will have the greatest impact on employee productivity, service levels, and customer satisfaction. Need help improving your infrastructure uptime? Contact us to discuss a solution that will provide you greater productivity and efficiency. Email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
Welcome back to BATV's coverage of the JSE core competencies to excel as a corporate secretary.
We are now going to have a panel discussion, as you will see, and members of the local chapter will be participating, and Mrs. Henry Pottinger is going to be the moderator, and they're going to be talking about things that happen in a very practical way.
How rewarding is your job as a company secretary? Any tips that you can give to budding company secretaries, people who are waiting in the wings to take over your jobs? For me, I enjoy my job. I will not work anywhere else until I retire than with KPMG. As to rewarding, yes, it is rewarding in many respects. I like to see that the people who I work with, they are enabled, they are eloquent, they can answer questions from shareholders, they deal with matters like that with alacrity, and they're very responsive.
It's not glamorous in the sense that if the reward you're looking for is your name in lights, it's clearly the wrong profession for you. So I'm glad that Liz actually said the word enable, because you are an enabler, you're a facilitator. We all understand, certainly after listening to Simon this morning, the importance of corporate governance. Well, all of that falls on your shoulders for you to administer. You pull it together. You keep all the moving pieces going in unison, and there will be no naming lights, certainly not where I operate for that. So if that's what but it can be, obviously it's very rewarding in other ways. Just in terms of tips, I can't stress enough, well, there are two main things I'll say. One is that you have to have a high level of administrative capability, and and obviously you can't do it on your own. So whether it means an internal team or going for external support, you have to be extremely organized, and you have to make sure that you create a lot of systems which allow you to ensure that you comply with all the requirements that you have, which are numerous. Other than that, I can't stress enough the importance of what we keep calling soft skills, but they're not soft at all because they're critical for the role. Definitely, there's a higher level of judgment and diplomacy and management of relationships of people which is involved. We talked a little bit earlier about the relationship the tension between management and the board, which can sometimes exist. And in that case, your role is critical because you really are the diplomat who has to kind of navigate those two relationships and those two different sets of roles within a company. So that I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that you develop your relationships and that you manage personalities.
I recall some years ago I did a document for my chairman, and I went to him and I'm explaining to him what it is that I'm doing and what it is that he needs. He says to me, where I must sign. So it gives you that level of confidence and trust, and to ensure that what you're doing and what you're presenting is correct. And you must build up that whole self-integrity so that, it is not questioned. And I feel that if I have to take something to somebody and they ask me, so where is this or what is that? I do my own self-assessment, because when I do a document, it says where, what, when, why, who, and so forth. So I ask myself those questions so that, you can develop that trust when you're working with somebody.
The job is really very, very interesting. The things that come across your desk are amazing, dynamic, invigorating, challenging. Scope is very, very diverse. Corporate governance has really taken its hold, on Jamaica and within the Caribbean. There is just so much that we have to learn and offer to our clients and to ourselves. Certainly, if someone is looking at this as a profession, I think corporate governance is the way to go. That's just me personally. You'll always assist and help your clients, but there's always a nuance on what has occurred, what should have been done, and how we're going to correct it. And that's what I love about it. And working with PwC and my team, we have just so much to do. You've got to be very structured, lists, and more lists. You have to be very detail-oriented and be able to pick up, and very meticulous, and be able to pick up errors very easily.
In my role as a corporate secretary, the reward for me is I am constantly learning. Every day there is something that I didn't know, or something now that I have to go and know. And it is no 2 days are ever the same. Especially in our company, which we tend to be very entrepreneurial, the ideas come, and as a company secretary and as compliance, I have to research to say, can it be done? Can it not be done? Would this be in breach of anything? I would also advise that with the laws and regulations and how they interpret what I am asking them to just bounce things off. So I would ask you to use them up. The company's office, the stock exchange, the Bank of Jamaica, the FSC, they're all very open to questions. No one has said no to me yet. Even if they don't know the answer, they'll research it and get back to us. And our real success lies in having a great team behind us, including KPMG.
Thank you.
and our team in Dom Rep, Trinidad and Jamaica that supports me, because we just could not do it alone.
Thanks a lot, ladies. I hope then that those of you in the audience found something informative, instructive, that you can take away from this panel discussion.
Coming up after the break, what companies need to know about the Corporate Governance Index.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Hi, it's Novia MacDonald White, Senior Associate Editor at the Jamaica Observer. And guess what? You are watching Business Access Television.
Welcome back to BATV's coverage of the JSE core competencies to excel as a corporate secretary.
So what is this corporate governance index that we have been talking about? And it really is a tool that has been developed to measure how all entities that are listed, at least surely for us listed on the stock exchange, how it conforms to various established corporate governance principles. Now, typically, the index has a numerical value, right, where the extremes of the values are overall good and poor. And also, it assists in improving the transparency and ultimately FDI for countries. Because research has shown that countries and surely listed companies, like using the stock exchanges that have a corporate governance index, especially when there's not very strong regulatory environment for them to operate within, the corporate governance index has actually helped to create greater investment opportunities. And what the research has shown is that countries with the indices have shown significant growth in corporate governance practices. So let's talk a little about the corporate governance index in Jamaica. And the index has been developed by the Jamaica Stock Exchange. As I indicated before, it's the first for the Caribbean region. The process that is being utilized is that it's going to be automatic, so that whether you're listed on the junior market or you're listed on the main market, you are going to be assessed using the index manual. So the purpose of the index, as stated by the Jamaica Stock Exchange, is to first of all periodically measure listed companies' conformance to required corporate governance principles and practices. It also should help to give companies an opportunity to differentiate themselves from other companies, because while all companies are listed and expected to be guided by certain principles and certain rules and certain legislations, you can differentiate yourself by the score that you probably will get based on the fact that you are adhering to a number of these principles. It will also provide a benchmark by which other parties, external parties, locally and internationally now, can gauge companies' adherence to corporate governance practices.
Every year, we have a workshop for the corporate secretary because we realize that they are an integral part of the corporate governance and effectiveness of publicly listed companies, whether it's on the junior exchange or the big board. And we were fortunate in that the head of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of the UK was coming on a visit to Jamaica to meet with the Jamaica Stock Exchange, because we are in the process of representing them in providing training and continuing development for corporate secretaries, persons who want to be corporate secretaries, and as a matter of fact, there is an upcoming fast track that's going to be available for attorneys and chartered accountants who invariably are performing the duties of the chartered secretary, and what it will allow them to do is to have the formal chartered secretary designation. So we felt that this was very important to continue to lift the profile of the chartered secretary and their role in listed companies.
I thought the conference was excellent, actually. The seminar was excellent. It touched on very important aspects that are critical for the development of our businesses within Jamaica and internationally, and for our companies, concentrating on corporate governance and the amendments that have just occurred in the Companies Act and why corporate governance is so important. So I encourage everyone to be at the next seminar.
The governance is here to stay. There's no doubt about that. And it's the proportionate application of governance principles which is so important in all types of organisation. But in order to be able to do that, every organisation needs to be clear about its organisational purpose. Then the board, the directors, need to be clear about the key values by which that purpose is going to be delivered. Only then can you devise a governance framework for your particular type of organisation. Every organisation, however big, however small, needs to do that.
Who does corporate governance benefit again?
Obviously, it benefits the companies themselves, it benefits their shareholders as the owners, or if it's an unincorporated body, the members. But it also benefits wider society. I think that's the important point. Their employees, those with whom they do business, and ultimately it benefits the government, because if an enterprise fails and is employing people and it fails because of poor governance practices, the ultimate responsibility financially was going to fall on the government, for example in social security payouts for unemployed people. I think also if companies fail because of poor governance, it doesn't reflect well on the country. And for a country that is trying to entice inward investment, if the governance framework isn't up to snuff, as we say, then that could have a potentially negative effect. So good governance, it just makes sense. There's plenty of anecdotal evidence too that good governance enhances reputation. It also, for organisations, particularly commercial ones, reduces the cost of capital. It just makes sense.
That's it from us here at the JSC Core Competencies to Excel as a Corporate Secretary. I've been your host, Andrew Laidley, and thanks for tuning in to Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
My name is Herbert Chung, Executive Chairman, Co-Founder, Honeybun 1982 Limited. You're watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
you have to move about because of urgent business, if you have to move about to secure the necessaries of life, if you have to move about to get some exercise for your own health and sanity, that you do so observing strictly the hygiene practices that are recommended.
The hygiene practices Prime Minister Andrew Holness is referring to include frequent hand washing with soap and water, and the use of hand rub with 62% or more alcohol base, covering mouth and nose with tissue or the bend of your elbow when coughing or sneezing, and avoid touching your mouth, eyes or nose. We should all endeavor to protect ourselves and our families from COVID-19. This is Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Adrian Atkinson. The government has been working overtime to stem the spread of COVID-19 on the island. Containment measures include the imposition of a curfew from April 1 to 8 between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. the following day. Watch as the state shares more information on this and other measures.
Last week, we gave a direction to the Ministry of Health and the police force to work together with PICA and Custom to establish a list of persons who came into the island on or after the 18th of March, and that list is a comprehensive list, as comprehensive as we could get: name, passport number, and address. That list is then matched against those persons who have contacted the Ministry of Health, either through the telephone numbers which have been given, the email address which has been given, or the Jam COVID website. And we are now examining the records at the local health authorities in the various regions, because persons may have called in to those regions as well. And once we collate that, which we are now in the process of doing, we will take those persons off the list that we have of persons coming into the island. So now we will have a net list. Persons who have not reported are, at this point, and from the time they have not reported, in violation of the order that requires them to report, and violation of the law, that is the Disaster Risk Management Act, can result in a fine of up to $1 million and imprisonment or imprisonment. Most of the cases that we are seeing now are cases that have come into the island during the period that I have mentioned, that is between the 18th of March and the 24th. And the other cases are related to them. So the potential for spread and exponential spread is now directly related to that population that came into the island. Now, it is not all bad news. We have a record of 460 persons who have called in to the Ministry of Health. That number may grow as we search through the other databases. And I want to thank those people who exercise their good conscience, their good judgment, a high sense of patriotism, a high concern for individuals themselves and others, done their civic duty. They have isolated, stayed at home by themselves. They have sent home their home staff or other family members, sent them away. And they have reported their situation to the Ministry of Health. That is what we want to see our Jamaicans do. It pains my heart to having to read this, that we are going to have to go door to door to find, to literally pull resources from other areas which they are needed to do this, when all it requires is a simple phone call to 888-1LOVE, or to go online to jamcovid19.moh.gov.jm and fill in the simple form. If everyone acts responsibly, we can keep our curve low. The government of Jamaica will extend the period of closure of our borders to incoming passenger traffic. We continue to refine protocols for the eventual controlled entry of Jamaicans. Additionally, the government of Jamaica, on the advice of the Ministry of Health, will extend the quarantine of the Corn Peace community for a further 14 days. As it relates to the stay-in-place orders that have been given, people refer to them as the curfew orders that have been given. Let me say that I'm generally satisfied with how Jamaicans have responded. And I think all Jamaicans should have a sense of pride in how we have responded. Just that one act of staying home at night, when maybe we should all be staying home anyway, but that one act would have slowed transmission. And for those who would want to violate, for those who would want to show hubris that they can flout the law, the state of Jamaica is going to show with deliberateness that we can enforce our laws.
That we have completed the first phase of a sanitization and cleaning program of all our infirmaries and golden age homes across the country. We employed 100 additional temporary workers to maintain the cleaning program in the facilities, and this will be accommodated over the next 8 weeks. Additionally, we have installed all the mechanisms and washing and sanitizing facilities. We have put in the necessary infrastructure to ensure that the 1,700 residents in our infirmaries and golden age homes are kept in excellent condition. We have started the program to ensure that all persons, as we had said before, visiting the facilities go through the necessary checks and balances to ensure that they are in good health, and we still maintain the restrictions on visits and admissions to our infirmaries and homes over the period. On Sunday, we commenced the all-island feeding program of the homeless communities through the length and breadth of Jamaica. And Prime Minister and colleagues, I want to advise you that so far we have provided breakfast and lunch for 10,000 such persons across the country, with the majority of those cases being in the corporate area. We are over 4,500 such persons in the corporate area have benefited from this. The ministry have also rolled out the program to take care of the outdoor poor, and I must say that within the first week of this program, we have reached some 22,000 Jamaicans who are registered as outdoor poor, including the 1,700 in our infirmaries. Colleagues, Jamaica, we have started the program to find shelter. And this is something that is of real concern because since the imposition of a nightly curfew, we have discovered that there are many Jamaicans that was not counted in the numbers of persons that are homeless have now turned up on the streets. We have provided 100 bed solutions at a location on Church Street, which we activated last night. And this facility, as I said before, will facilitate 100 such persons, and also the Mary Atkins facility, which is running out of space. And Prime Minister, there is a need for us to pay some serious attention to this population. We have had roaming teams on the road driving across the corporate area and to all the parishes where we find these persons. We take them to the facilities, provide them with a bath, food, change of clothes, medical checkup. So we are in fact doing all that we can. Just quickly, Prime Minister and colleagues, the new market regulations have been working. We are watching to see what is taking place in terms of the efforts to try to get this social distancing within the markets. We know it's going to be difficult, but we are working on it. We are working closely with the Ministry of Health and the Social Development Commission to set out the protocol around how our markets are operating. The markets have installed hand sanitizers, washing basins across all the markets, and by now, all markets across the country would have gone through a total sanitization program. So we are watching to see what is taking place within our markets. I want to also announce that the Ministry of Local Government have provided some $50 million to the local authorities for the trucking of water to all municipalities across the country, and this program is ongoing.
Persons who came into the island that we have no knowledge of their health status because they have not reported, and they are ill, and they are infectious, and even if they recover, they could still be shedding. And even before they show symptoms, they could be infecting. If those persons are moving around in the country and infecting other people, and then all of a sudden cases turn up, that you cannot connect these cases to other cases that you know about, and you start to see this in increasing numbers, then you would say that the virus is at large in the community. And that is when now we would say we have definitely community spread. That means anywhere you go, you could get the virus. That means we couldn't say that we are quarantining any area really, because it doesn't make sense, because it's all over. Then you would have to go now with a different strategy. To curb that now, that is when you would have to do what other countries have been forced to do, such as a total lockdown. So I hope people understand why it is that the government is being so strict on these other measures: social distancing, proper hygiene, stay at home, work from home, vulnerable stay home, so that we don't get to this community spread, where really the only tool to control the community spread would be to implement a lockdown. And we have tried our best. I think we have really exercised all our energies in this regard. But it really depends on what you do personally.
We know you want to be the best parent to your child, so we've decided to share some useful tips to make this a reality.
Wouldn't it be great if children came into the world so well adjusted or with manuals, therefore eliminating the need for parental discipline? This is not the case, however. Parents usually apply their methods or they depend on strategies taught throughout generations to guide their children.
8 in 10 Jamaican children in the 2 to 14 years age group experience violence as a form of discipline.
Coercive parenting involves the physical administration of pain as punishment. It also includes the use of harsh language that has the potential to hurt children's feelings and affect their general self-esteem and development. It also fosters aggression, because what you're really teaching children is that when there is an issue, we must resolve the issue through harshness, through aggression, through coarse language. There's a direct correlation between coercive parenting and the aggression that we see actually in society.
Damaging disciplinary practices have moved outside of the home and into the national consciousness.
The time has come for the Parliament to have a debate on this issue and finally declare corporal punishment at an end, both within public institutions and as a means of discipline available to parents. I think it would be a forward-leaning step in making a stance against violence generally, and it would send a powerful message about the state respecting the inviolability of the person, whether or not that person is a child or an adult.
Children need guidance, and many wonder if not with the rod, then how? Enter the National Parenting Support Commission, NPSC, an agency of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. The ministry established the commission in 2012 to provide parents with the requisite skills and tools to raise children.
We work at 3 tiers. We work at home, school, and community. Our first and most important priority, however, is to ensure that we're fostering the home-school relationship. We must ensure that parents as key stakeholders feel involved in the entire process of educating their children.
Now, to do this, the Commission assists parents in several ways, including providing psychosocial support, assisting parents with understanding the teaching-learning process, and conducting parenting education programs.
Through our effective parenting courses, we push proactive strategies. In other words, you are going to put structures in place before behaviors that you don't desire actually show.
Parents and guardians should consider the child's developmental stage when determining the best method of guidance.
A child who is very young, we encourage play. The child must be playing, and even the teaching learning processes must include play, because this is how they develop their imagination, their creative skills. This is how they also learn to resolve issues and to problem solve.
Young children, especially infants, are at the stage where they don't know right from wrong, and they can be impulsive. They may touch items that are valuable or dangerous. Usually, it is best to remove the child or the object from such a situation.
We don't believe you're to spank any at all, because that's a part of coercive parenting, and we don't believe that coercive parenting works. So what we encourage you to do, though, is to be firm and to be consistent. So if it means you have to say, do this instead, or do not go there a million times, then that's what you have to be prepared to do.
The teenage years can challenge both children and parents. With the physical and chemical changes happening in the body, teens may act out as they may be unsure of their place in the world.
This can be a very difficult time to navigate. So we ask that you start relaxing some of the very stringent rules, and you also have conversations and you compromise.
And to address challenges, caregivers can remove privileges.
If the child becomes stubborn, has a fixed mindset, if you will, that this is what he or she is going to continue to do, then you might need professional help. You might need to call the commission, or you might need to call a social worker or a guidance counselor to help.
Being a proactive parent means setting clear boundaries letting children know what is acceptable behaviors and why rules are in place. And don't forget to model behaviors you want young ones to display. There may not be a one-size-fits-all for raising children. By assessing the right information and using effective parenting techniques, we can nurture adults willing to play their part in making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. To tap into information from the National Parenting Support Commission, call 876-967-7977 or visit their offices at 37 Arnold Road, Kingston 6.
The safety and well-being of persons with special needs, such as the elderly and persons with disabilities, continues to be a major priority for us at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. We are making an impassioned plea to our senior citizens and persons with disabilities and their families and caregivers to exercise care and caution to protect themselves from this novel coronavirus. We are also urging all Jamaicans to be aware and follow the information from the health authorities. Wash and sanitize your hands regularly and practice social distancing. If you have any queries or special need assistance, please contact our toll-free COVID-19 emergency lines 888-429-5657 to 9. And you can WhatsApp us on 876-582-8988. We have a responsibility to work together and ensure that we have a healthy and safe environment for all of us in Jamaica.
Even as Jamaica steps up its fight against COVID-19, government is also scaling up activities to tackle incidents of domestic violence. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, call 876-553-0372 or 876-553-0387 for help.
Growing up, I've seen my father flip over the simplest of things. He would basically change from an angel to a devil in a flash. I remember this instance. My mom told me that she was coming home from work one evening because she worked very close to where he lived. She was coming home from work, and usually when you're leaving work, it's a lot of persons leaving at the same time, and she was talking to one of her co-workers and she smiled at him. He smiled back, and my father saw that, and when she went home, he was ready for her. He was like, "Oh, see, I smile at my pan the road, you smile at my pan the road." He beat her, he stripped her naked, and he chased her in front of the yard so all her co-workers could see. So all her co-workers could see her.
Domestic abuse or domestic violence is not just physical abuse. The physical abuse basically for us is the end product coming from somewhere else. So you have stalking, you have intimidation, you have threat, you have psychological abuse, the ones that I'll tell you, I play on your emotions as to what I can do.
It was known to everybody that this was the type of person she was dating, this was the type of man he was. Even the security at the gate, the manager, everyone. So it's not like her life was a secret. If she could not have any friends. He was the only person she could talk to, go anywhere with. If someone even talked to her and she not acknowledging them, she would get beaten for that. The least good thing, he would flip on her.
Usually, persons who are perpetrators of domestic violence are usually men, and usually they are persons who were controlling over their intimate partners. They tend to have a high level of jealousy, and they tend to be very possessive. And as such, you find that they will have a pattern of behavior where they will always check where the partner is by various means, whether by calling the person, asking the person where they are, Also want to know who are they communicating with. So are they communicating persons on email, WhatsApp, other social media platform? They also want to make sure that they know where they are at all times and that they're not interacting with other persons outside. So they tend to want to have them stay home, for example, and lose connection with their families and friends.
As community members, we have a moral responsibility that within our homes and within our communities, once we are aware that there are instances of domestic abuse and domestic violence and we seek help, best place to go? To the police. Ask the police to intervene. Intervention can be that the police directs the victim to a counseling center, because we have partnership with churches, right? We have partnership with other organizations, Justices of the Peace, counselors.
Every time she escaped him, he would either stalk her, chase her, go to her either friend's house, wherever she went, friend's house, mother's house, cousin's house, no matter where she went, he would find her, go for her with a gun, knife, machete, whatever it may be, and she would always have to go back with him. No one, no matter how much they try to fight and help her, he would always get her back. And when she goes back with him, the beating got worse, the abuse got worse, the rape got worse, everything got worse.
Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, one of those facilities that were donated by the U.S. Embassy, and it's a partnership between the JCF and the U.S. Embassy, to create a facility where persons can come and speak about domestic violence and domestic abuse related issues within their home. And so it's a safe space for both victims and perpetrator. And it offers counseling to family members, to victims, also to perpetrators. We have 2 centers that are currently operational. One is at the Matilda's Corner Police Station. You can call the Matilda's Corner Police Station for that. The other one is at Air 5 Headquarters. That's on the same compound as Constant Spring Police Station. The number is 702-5120 or 702-5121.
We also have available mental health and suicide helpline. And this helpline is a 24-hour service, which is toll-free, where persons can call. So it can be either persons calling on behalf of others that they have been exposed to domestic violence. So the helpline is toll-free, and it's 888 New Life, which is 888-639-5433. And the 24-hour service, 7 days per week.
If you know someone is being abused, say something, do something.
And that's where we leave you on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Stay on top of all the useful COVID-19 related information. Visit jis.gov.jm. Follow us on all the major social media sites, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download our mobile app that's smartphone compatible. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
The Mona School of Business and Management hosted its 4th business conference at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, and Business Access TV was there to bring you the highlights. Stay tuned.
Welcome on behalf of the Mona School of Business and Management to our 4th biennial conference. We're here to discuss delivering on the promise of entrepreneurship, and it is critical at this juncture that Jamaica in particular and the rest of the Caribbean, having gone through all sorts of structural and fiscal and monetary adjustments, these are necessary but not sufficient. And entrepreneurship is clearly one of the ways in which we capitalize on a more robust financial platform that we have. And today we'll be looking both at research and examples from the Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the global audience. In that context, I would like to welcome all our visitors and presenters who have come from the Caribbean, the USA, and Europe, and I'd like to thank you for attending. We look forward to having very interesting conversations over the 3 days, and as has been our custom, to have generated research and publications arising out of the conference to advance knowledge. Our goal is to provide a link between the academy and the business community in a more direct way than other faculties and departments at the university. I therefore welcome not just this interaction between the school and the wider community, but we hope to use it as a springboard for even better partnerships.
I've noticed that the title of the opening plenary is Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Growth, Unlocking the Potential in the Jamaican Economy. So I presume that within that is the message that entrepreneurship and innovation have something to do with growth. And it's a fair assumption. And that is perhaps why we are being told by the Economic Growth Council to unleash our entrepreneurial spirit. We are being told by the World Bank to become more innovative. We're told by various members of the political directorate to take more risks and invest in newer areas. So it would appear that there is a growing perception that there is, in fact, a link between entrepreneurship and growth. The private sector organization of Jamaica and the Jamaica Bankers Association are finally reaching out to small and medium-sized entrepreneurs to get them to formalize their operations. So all of this is good. I think there's an energy that is starting. Unfortunately, that has happened before, but there is an energy that's starting that we need to keep going. And we need to understand that, or figure out whether it is a magic bullet or it is the beginning of a new paradigm that must be adopted by all of us across the board in order for us to secure mature development as a nation, as a society. I think we need to take a look at the historical context of our country so that we understand not only where we are or we got here, but we can try and use it to map where we're going. But before I do that, I just wanted to give a commercial plug for the efforts of the Jamaica Bankers Association and the member bankers for the initiative to allow access to finance and to encourage access to finance for the SMEs and the medium-sized businesses. It's important for us to understand that the current definition of an SME is a business entity having between 1 and 50 employees and an annual turnover of less than $150 million. So that is the spectrum of enterprises that we at the PSOJ and the JBA are trying to capture. And the aim is to bring greater awareness of this SME sector to the extremely numerous and detailed programs that the government's Access to Finance agenda has established since 2016. And also, we want to provide input and support for the adoption and the expansion of the Access to Finance program across most of the stakeholder sectors through a process of education, facilitation, and familiarization. So the project has two streams. It has the Access to Finance stream, and it has a reverse factoring program, which is being developed in conjunction with the DDJ, to enable small businesses to better manage their receivables. Cash flow is extremely important to small businesses, and we need to assist them in their management of it and in their collection of their debt. So the hope of the program is to foster better relationships between the banks and the small businesses, to simplify the credit processes and to make them easier and more transparent for the small businesses. We want to train the MSMEs, which is the term, in formalizing, regularizing, and structuring their business processes, and to allow them to unlock additional capital to allow for their business expansion.
So as we contemplate how we can deliver on this promise of entrepreneurship in the Caribbean region, in our own Jamaican nation, I invite us to consider those factors which may possibly be standing in the way of us unlocking and unleashing our entrepreneurial potential. As a region and as a nation, we have a reputation of being a creativity powerhouse. We pride ourselves in our ability to come up with creative, original new ideas, and we often proudly hail our national mantras such as Tanya Han and Make Fashion, which speaks to our creative national problem-solving abilities, which allow us to turn any obstacle into an inventive opportunity. Simply put, we are just naturally creative, imaginative, and innovative people. And throughout our history, as a region and as a nation, our creative outputs and our ideas have always garnered global attention. However, in spite of our creative prowess, we seem to have failed to translate our ideas into generating high growth, high worth, high impact entrepreneurial ventures. And so I ponder the question, why do we think that is? Why is it that as a nation and as a region, we have been a plethora of creators in our island, but a dearth of successful entrepreneurs? So to examine this question, I invite us to consider the distinctions between the definitions of creativity and entrepreneurship. Now, the Webster Dictionary defines creativity as the ability to make new things and think of new ideas that we do well. However, it defines entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur as one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or an enterprise. I submit that this is the critical differentiator in this definition between who an entrepreneur is as opposed to who a creative is. In that an entrepreneur is somebody who has to and must take risks. This distinction between these two definitions is important because while we as Jamaicans are naturally creative people, we need to consider the question, are we naturally entrepreneurial? Are we naturally risk takers and risk makers, or are we risk averse? In the results of the indices from the Global Resilience Index, which ranks 130 countries around the world by the risk and resilience of their business environments, based on certain factors such as economic indicators, risk factors, and supply chain issues, Jamaica has consistently ranked in the bottom 30 of 130 nations in the study. This might suggest that our national distaste for risk is well-founded. However, if left unchecked, our risk aversion will continue to be our entrepreneurial Achilles heel. So why is it that as a region, we're such risk-averse people? Why do we shy away from risk? I believe it's in part because when we think about entrepreneurial risk, we tend to only focus on the downside versus the upside of risk. A close examination of the term risk suggests that it refers to the effect of uncertainty on meeting organizational outcomes. However, while the effect of uncertainty as an entrepreneurial venture can be both negative and positive, we often only focus on the potential negative effects of risk and uncertainty to the exclusion of the consideration of the positive potential opportunities which risk and uncertainty can also provide. In my opinion, an entrepreneur is someone who sees the future and then sets out to create it. However, creating the future means stepping out into the uncertain and the unknown, and stepping out onto the unknown is risky. Oftentimes, however, when risk-averse entrepreneurs think of the word risk, what comes to mind are only those potential dangers, threats, and negative consequences of undertaking a venture. What if I can't pay my bills? What if a competitor beats me to the market? What if I invest a huge sum of money in the business, but I can't attract enough customers to cover my costs? I submit that this is a flawed view of the concept of risk. To the contrary, as we seek to unlock and unleash our creative and entrepreneurial potential as a region and as a nation, we need to begin to acknowledge that risk and reward are two sides of the same entrepreneurial coin. Consequently, without an active emphasis on entrepreneurial risk-taking and risk-making, we will fail to see the rewards of generating high growth, high impact, high worth entrepreneurial ventures.
Just to give you a little background in terms of what the DBJ does. The DBJ, really, the focus as a development bank is to really improve the lives of all Jamaicans through development financing, capacity building, PPPs, and privatizations. DBJ's role in building the economy, in as much as Howard just mentioned that because of factors, the state has had a big influence on the economy. DBJ's role, the philosophy behind it, is really not to be competing with the private sector or to take the place of the private sector, but really to fill the gaps where they exist. And so over the many decades, DBJ has been involved in lending through the AFIs at affordable rates when interest rates were at sky-high levels, putting in place collateral guarantees for good projects that did not have sufficient collateral to access loans. Things like Ignite program, grants for innovation, which now coming up with a reverse factoring, there is capacity building of our entrepreneurs, and the work that I'm doing, which really was focused on access to finance, access to equity finance through the Jamaica Venture Capital Program. When we established the VC program, the whole point was that we originally thought about it as being access to finance, but pretty quickly recognized that it was wider than just money. We had to be building the ecosystem. Everybody had to be ready for a market. Any market has buyers, sellers, as well as the infrastructure. We had none of those in Jamaica, so we had to be building that infrastructure. So it was really a multifaceted program that was developed, training and capacity building. Our fund managers or investors had to be trained, or fund managers or entrepreneurs, our lawyers, accountants. So there was a lot of training. We also put in place the infrastructure to build, for our first funds to be started, as well as there are a number of legal, regulatory, and tax issues which have to be addressed. And most importantly, the entrepreneurs, the deal flow has to be there. So in looking at building an ecosystem, we had to be cognizant of, as I mentioned, all the various things. Who are the players? How are they going to be exiting the stock exchange? I know Marlene is going to be talking about that shortly. And, entrepreneurship, as well as what's happening with the SMEs and who are what is the support infrastructure. And we took a lot of lessons. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We took a lot of lessons from what happened in Latin America as they were building their private equity and venture capital ecosystems.
Doggin Global is an integrated multidisciplinary professional service firm in the Caribbean region. We are integrated as one regional firm and provide several professional services, including audit and assurance, advisory, tax, risk, and legal. Our advisory services focus on our clients' most critical issues and opportunities: strategy, marketing, organization, operations, technology, transformation, digital, advanced analytics, corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, and sustainability across all industries and geographies. Growing your business through mergers and acquisition, raising finance, or looking to join public markets requires specialist advice. Doggin Global provide a full range of corporate finance services, from initial assessment of strategy through to deal completion. In-depth knowledge of industry sectors and markets provides valuable insight into specific opportunities and risks for your company. Our corporate finance specialists assist clients to develop an acquisition approach, identify targets or interested parties, instigate negotiations, and help conclude transactions. Our global reach allows us to provide advice and local knowledge to assist with foreign acquisitions and sales. How Doggin Global can help. If you're looking to sell your business or plan an exit strategy, Doggin Global can help you with initial preparation, valuation, and marketing to potential investors, negotiation through to tax minimization and investment planning. Doggin Global corporate finance includes business valuations, raising finance, financial restructuring, negotiations and vendor protections, IPOs or flotation, management buyouts or ins, key management incentive schemes, succession planning and development, preparing businesses for sale, exit strategies, contact information, website www.doggin.global, email info@doggin.global, Caribbean headquarters, Doggin Global, Doggin Towers, 4749, Trinidad Terrace, Kingston 5, Jamaica. Telephone 876-929-2518, 876-926-5210, 876-630-2011.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
So I just wanted to just tell you real quick about the IDB Lab, just to put in context where we sit and what we are doing and how we could unlock the potential for entrepreneurship and innovation in Jamaica, even further than we are doing now. I like the way we started the panel. So we started off looking at the research, because research and development is very integral in all that we have to do as SMEs and entrepreneurs and when we're taking on innovation. We looked at the risk approach to it, smart risk taking. We also looked at our history, where we're coming from, because culturally that's still going to be ingrained in us. And then we looked at the capacity building and all the different elements that's needed. So I want to take you through unlocking that potential that's there and first introducing you to IDB Lab. So IDB Lab is a part of the IDB Group. We serve over 650 million persons across the world. We are a part of a group with IDB Invest. IDB works with the government. IDB Invest works with private sector, and then IDB Lab works with different corporates. Mr. Mitchell had said about inclusiveness. That's what IDB is all about. We are innovation lab looking at inclusive solutions for Latin America and the Caribbean. We create market-driven solutions. So we look at what the market is doing, what the needs are, where the gaps are, and we work along with the private sector to create those solutions. We also look for what we call transformative impact. How do we create what we call 10x impact, greater impact than we have seen before in the projects that we're looking to do? And we're very focused on vulnerable society. This is the inclusiveness that Mr. Mitchell was talking about. Where does the poor and the disabled and those persons who don't have access to goods or services, how can we help to solve some of those problems, elevating those persons, improving their lives so that they can be contributing to the growth of the society? So I mentioned we work with private sector in creating these projects. They're the ones who are executing on the initiatives. But I'm gonna stop.
slide, which is the JSE Market Index. And it is an index taken from Bloomberg yesterday, which really shows that point to point from last year, this time to this year, the market index has gone up by 61.76%. And that is showing you really the power of what happens when businesses are financed and the value created at each stage. So you can see that the index speak about companies and the value that has gone from point of last year to now is an increase of 61.7%. Year to date, 27%. I'm going to share a little bit with you as to why this could happen. But let us talk about the stock exchange group. We are 50 years today, this year, and what we did, we set out to ensure that there was confidence in the market by forming the Jamaica Central Securities Depository in 1998. And in order to broaden the services of the financial sector, in 2008, we formed the trustee division. And this is in order for persons to have confidence in the market when we talk about funding. When we talk about access to equity capital, one of the main pillars is confidence in the market. So the idea of the stock exchange is that we can raise equity, and that is, having shareholders in your company, but also debts can be raised on the market as well. And every once in a while, we do have some simple innovations that allow for markets to grow and for persons to get money and to grow their business. And so in 2009, we created the junior market, and which shows a collaboration between government and the private sector, which offers, because persons have asked what is offered to incentivize businesses to grow, to access capital. And we have the junior market where, with the government's collaboration, we have a 10-year corporate tax holiday. We also have the support of the depository, as I said before, and we are in 40 clients in 5 CARICOM states. So we are all over the Caribbean. What is our market performance? For the main market, we have 55 companies as at June, and 55 securities and 42 companies. For the junior market, because we have the junior market, as I said, as at June, we have 41 companies. So the companies have come to market and have grown, and representing 38 securities. And we do have a US dollar market also, and that is growing too. So we can see that people are considering as a credible option the stock market to raise capital. Why would you want to go public? Public, when you talk about going public, it's a serious situation. It is one of disclosing your business to all concerned. And many persons are reluctant to do that. But more and more, we are seeing, especially small and medium sized, understanding that it is not so bad. When you come to market, you get these various benefits, enhanced profitability and viability, and more about this company is a larger pool of well-run, profitable and compliant, because compliance is important. And there is a wider pool of investors. When probably 5 or so years ago, you had less persons willing to invest in companies that come to market. So you would have probably 20, 30 investors in any what is called an IPO. Now we have thousands of companies, of investors that will invest in companies. So for those persons who are business people, don't be afraid. Persons will invest in you if you have a credible idea and a good plan. We have seen on the level of the macro level that employment has increased, and it is a sustainable economic growth because of that.
Stop for a second and think about an incentive where you get 100% relief on your corporate tax for 5 years and 50% after. And you have in excess of 2,000 companies registered at the company's office. And we only have 40 since we have opened the junior market. It speaks to a bigger issue. So I have 3 minutes and I just want to touch on two quick things. That bigger issue is that significantly more education needs to be given to owners of these companies. We spend too much time trying to hide revenues, etc., in so-called getting a lower tax rate, that you're impacting the value creation, the revenue expansion of your business. So we need to find a way to get to more of those entrepreneurs, to let them understand that the more you open up your company is the more you're going to make. Because the tax rate is a percentage of a whole. So if that whole keeps growing, you will always get more than what the government is going to get. I'll touch quickly on the fact that, Neighbor does all these things. We take you from nowhere right up. We fund you with debt, we fund you with equity. The gains have been crazy. But I close by jumping into Audrey's space because I just want to make two fundamental points. I think sometimes we don't really focus on what really matters. So the biggest issue with funding in the country is a matter of risk management. So for example, people always say, why is it easier for you to get a car loan than for you to get a capital item loan? And it's very, very simple. There's a secondary market for cars. So when you get a loan, the bank has to ensure its principal can be repaid in the event you don't make the payment. So they'll quickly lend you against a car, because if you default on a car, there are a billion people that are willing to buy the car on a second-hand basis. But that is the secret to true funding in this country. If every sector of the economy that you want to pump funding into, you can create a secondary market, that is where you'll start to get a lot of funding. Because with all due respect, all of you guys that want money, you don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose money. The facts say that 8 out of 10 of you are going to blow up the money. That's why it is so difficult. So in my mind, the solution is create an environment that if I will invest in all 10, but the 8 that blows up, give me an incentive. Because right now it's too lopsided. I lose everything when your company blows up, and the best, if I'm lucky, that I'm going to get from you is, Mr. Perk, you're a good guy. Sorry I lost all your money. But guess what? I have another idea. Can you give me some more money for that? It's not going to work. So I finally close by saying, to get these traditional investors to invest in you, you have to come up with a solution that mitigates the risk for them.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a manager, and still very good looking. In 2 hours, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, it's time to play. The new Suzuki Vitara.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Hey guys,
I'm Candy, and welcome to Chill Spot, Jamaica's ultimate leisure show. This season promises to reveal some of the hidden treasures of the lifestyle industry by taking you to the chill spots of some of Jamaica's most brilliant business minds, giving you a glimpse into how they choose to unwind and just hold a vibe. You won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, delighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
So I'm here representing my company and partnering with the Mona School of Business and Management. We at Foswich went public just a year and a half ago. And I'm here to tell you about nuts and bolts, just a few things on the nuts and bolts aspect of going public. One of the fundamental things, a few fundamental things that we had to wrestle with is going public. What is the value proposition that we are bringing to the market? You know, the space that we are in is electrical lighting, and we made a footprint for us in the LED space, where that particular product, the LED product, consumes 20% of the energy that the rest of fluorescent and incandescent light systems would produce, would consume. And so we wanted Jamaica to be clear that we are we're going to be the ones to bring this value to each consumer. And so how do we bring that value to the consumer? When you walk into a store and you see an LED bulb or an LED fixture or something, being untrained, you do not know exactly the properties and how it works and so on. And so we decided, okay, we are going to have to develop a department where we give this information to you. So when you walk in, or when we call you, or when we visit you, we are going to teach you or tell you the features of using the LEDs and the benefits. And so that became a big part of the value that we brought to the market. We had to therefore acquire or employ engineers, and we call them commercial or engineers that can disseminate information in a forum that people can understand. And so we will have small meetings like these. We call them, industrial mingles, whether it be in Montego Bay, in Mandeville, in Kingston, and we invite 50 to 80 people, and we start talking to them. And before long, they start spreading the news of the value of the product that we were offering. And so we were now defining our way in the market. And in doing that, it gave us the freedom to feel more comfortable later on to go public, because now we were bringing the value that the other competitors were not bringing to the market at the time. And so you have to decide what is it you're going to take to the market. We were not manufacturing any products at that time, or we were not manufacturing them in Jamaica, because we had connections in Far East that we visited and we worked with them to manufacture them, but they were not being manufactured in Jamaica. So we wanted to set ourselves apart from the competition. So one, understand what is it you're bringing to the market and what value you give them when they are to use your goods or services before you are thinking of going public. Is my another thing, and Marlene and Gary touched on it, transparency. It is my wife and I are very private people before last year. We're very private people. Nobody knew anything about us. I mean, it was so difficult for us to open all of our accounting to our senior accountant. We used to manage it. But once you decide, we decided after talking about it and thinking about it that we're going to be going public. I do not even have the code to go into my accounts department anymore because you now put a system in place and you're not afraid of opening up your books or your business to the public. And so you have to decide that this is the way you want to go and that you're going to go in this way.
So I come to you to talk to you about transforming the world in the Caribbean with entrepreneurship, sustainability, and innovation. It's time to turn climate change challenges into growth opportunities. I want to start today by taking a journey with you. Just as I grew up as an only child in Kingston and migrated to the US in high school, think about your experiences and where in Jamaica you're from, where you lived, where you grew up, your family, and what those experiences were like, what you aspired to be, and what you were frustrated with. It is said that our upbringing and life experiences shape us, the way we look at the world and our perspective. I think about my upbringing, born in a family from the great and no longer forgotten parish of St. Thomas, and raised in a matriarchal household. I think about the days when my grandmother made soursop juice and mango juice every time I visited her. I think about those frigid cold showers and the smell of kerosene lamps, and during intermittent power outages, and buckets of water because of the water shut off. And the other things like how I still boil water to this day, no matter where in the world I'm from. I see potential innovation in the challenges in our day to day life. Sometimes we're missing ideas and solutions from what is right in front of us. Sometimes we accept what has been occurring as commonplace, but I encourage every one of you to disrupt this status quo. Use those challenges as opportunities for innovation. Steve Jobs said, if you're going to make connections which are innovative, you have to have not the same bag of experiences as everyone else. You're going to have to make connections, and then you won't be innovative. When you think of the most successful tech companies being created today, is either from Silicon Valley, Israel, Europe, or Asia. However, right here in Jamaica, we have exported our own brand of innovation: music, food, dance, etc., and even the push step. It is our family experiences, the history of migration, our culture and diversity of our people that makes us special and unique. They are the ingredients for a new crop of innovation that can be utilized to address climate change challenges. I believe that sustainability and climate change is the business and economic opportunity of the century. The world is under a climate emergency. If we don't, in the next 10 years, if we don't reduce the temperature by 1.5 degrees, we will be in a serious catastrophe. According to the UN, limiting global warming means that 420 million fewer people being exposed to severe heat waves, survival of tropical reefs, loss of fewer plants and animal species, and the protection of forests and wetland habitats. Climate change affects every industry, but most notably health, agriculture, water, and food, water and energy. Because of the increased acceptance and the urgency, there has been a rapid increase of funding, governmental projects, and new startup innovations. The capital markets have also taken notice and are integrating environmental consideration, social impact, and governance into business and investment decisions. They are reallocating trillions of dollars to address this challenge. This is an enabling environment that presents an opportunity to create new products, new services, and solutions that will help and mitigate, adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change for everyone. Furthermore, because of the island, Because the islands in general are disproportionately affected, in some cases it gives us first mover advantage to innovate and create solutions in a small environment before scaling internationally. The time to innovate and take advantage of new business and social impact opportunity is now. We are currently feeling the effects of climate change. Last month, as many of you know, in Kingston, there was record temperatures. Kingston was not alone. In Alaska, the record temperature reached 32 degrees. In southern France, the record temperature reached 45.5 degrees Celsius. And it's just going to get hotter from here. As higher temperatures become more common, the demand for cooling devices will rise, driving the need for green innovation in the sector. Air conditioning is a twofold problem. It requires the use of more energy and uses chemicals that are harmful to global warming. There are hotter days coming, and there is both a need for new solutions and technologies that can keep us cool, but also reduce the effects of climate change.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Creating change, building a future, caring hands, giving back, touching hearts, and shaping lives. Impacting our world for the better.
Hey guys, I'm Candy and welcome to Chill Spot, Jamaica's ultimate leisure show. This season promises to reveal some of the hidden treasures of the lifestyle industry by taking you to the chill spots of some of Jamaica's most brilliant business minds, giving you a glimpse into how they choose to unwind and just hold a vibe. You won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
So today I will be speaking about Airbnb, which is very topical. The emergence of Airbnb in Jamaica and some of the debates and concerns that we have. I'm going to be pointing to what I consider to be a research gap and some questions, a very brief literature review, tell you a little bit about my methodology, what I found out, and some preliminary conclusions. I want to say that this is part of a larger body of work, and it's very much still in progress. So two things, forgive me if everything isn't there, and secondly, I really welcome your comments, which will help me to, I can utilize them as I go forward. All right, so these are some of the headlines that we see, that we have seen over time. I just went to our local newspapers, and you can see there's quite a debate happening, and this happens everywhere Airbnb goes. Very few people are neutral. They either love it or they hate it. So most recently, in the last week, we have had the issue of taxation come up, and the whole issue about how much are people earning from Airbnb currently.
last comment that really caught my attention was from the JHTA, Jamaica Hotel and Tourism Association. And they're saying, tax because we need a level playing field. And what is in quotation there, you can read for yourself. But in essence, the JHA's position is that, look, these people are legitimate competitors to us, and we don't see why, if they are competing in our space, they shouldn't have to have the same, my words, burden that we have. So, what I've been noticing in this debate, there's a lot of talk, as I showed with the headlines, about Airbnb and home sharing. Airbnb, of course, is just one of the many companies, but it's a name that everybody knows. So, and it's what I'm actually focusing my work on. But there's a lot of stuff we don't know. For example, are they really unfair threats? Are they tapping into the same market as the hotels? Or are they just little people trying to make some extra cash? JHTA doesn't think so, that they're little people, but how much do we really know? Do they offer similar products? And in essence, it comes down to one question: what exactly are they doing? So I have some research questions that I will show you again in a little bit. But in essence, what I'm trying to understand is from the perspective of the host. So rather than going macro, I'm actually going to go micro, because hosts are the ones who make or break an Airbnb product. So that's what I will be looking at. So as I said, I'll mention these research questions in a little bit. But to just talk about the host, who is the host? Well, one definition says a good host makes his guests very happy, makes his guests happy while they're in his care. So that's in essence what a host would be required to do. But in addition to that, a host has a legal and moral obligations. So if some of us have studied hospitality law, and we know that coming back from common law, innkeeper's liability, and so on, you have the obligation to ensure that your guests are kept safe and healthy. But in addition to that, there's this moral code from many religions and traditions, meaning that you have to take the person in. In addition to that, in Jamaica, we have very strict legislation. And for a homestay, which currently Airbnb would fall under, there are 11 standards established by TPD, Tourism Product and Development Company, that have to be met. And they're currently looking at new legislation, they say. But currently, this is where it would fall. And hosts should also receive Team Jamaica training. B&B hosts, bed and breakfast hosts, are often lifestyle entrepreneurs, and that's a nice way of saying they don't necessarily do it for the money. There's a lot of romance and mystery associated with the concept of bed and breakfast. And the interesting thing with Airbnb is, it sounds like breakfast, bed and breakfast, and they're built on that notion, although they technically, they don't have to serve breakfast, and very few actually do. But remember that many of them are lifestyle entrepreneurs. And the services that they're expected to provide, they're very intimate, customer service oriented, personalized, and so on, because in many cases, you're coming into the home of the host. Airbnb now, what they say is almost anyone can be a host. That's what, if you go to their website, they will say that. But what you may not understand when you're following up on that, oh, I'm sorry, and they also say that there are 3 steps: list the space, decide how to host, and welcome the first guest. And that sounds really simple as 1, 2, 3. But in reality, each of those steps assumes a whole body of knowledge which everybody may not have. You have to understand how to market. You have to understand how to do your pricing according to the season, according to supply and demand, and so on. And of course, how to manage your property and to interact with guests.
This afternoon, I'm going to be presenting on Airbnb and delivering the promise of Airbnb, the promise of entrepreneurship to Jamaica. And as my colleague mentioned, Dr. Craig, about the whole issue of Airbnb, it's a very controversial topic now. To tax or not to tax, those are the issues. But today for my presentation, I'm going to be providing and sharing some detail with you about Airbnb's performance in Jamaica in particular. And please note that this is a part of a larger body of study. I'm actually studying Airbnbs not only in Jamaica, but also in Cuba and Cayman Islands and Bahamas. So the sample that you're seeing me extrapolate data from is a part of a wider body of knowledge that is also currently ongoing and in process. So as you can see, it's the whole business of home sharing. So the idea is not lost upon us. And another thing that we want to drive home is that the whole notion of Airbnb is really not new to the Jamaican tourism industry, Caribbean tourism industry by extension. We've always opened our homes to guests. It's just the way in which we're doing it is different. And technology has created a platform that allows for greater access to persons who are also seeking this kind of intimate relationship and more authentic experiences. So we're going to get into, again, some of the controversy I also took from the headlines because it's so topical. And as you can see, there's so many issues coming out. How many guests we're actually welcoming, uh, where they're going, who are they staying with, to tax or not to tax. That's also a big question that is trying to be answered now. So it's very topical. But again, just to frame and contextualize it, the Airbnb is a wider, is a part of the wider sharing economy. And I love that term, as you mentioned, the Uberification, is it? Yes, fantastic. Because really that's what it is. It stems from these radical innovations that allow people to make extra money. That's really what it is. So I looked at the literature again from sources and what persons are saying about the sharing economy, which we're now a part of. And that is why everybody's trying to get their slice of the pie. So, Botsman in particular had mentioned that it's very hard for us to define in totality what the sharing economy is. However, Ryan and Botsman in 2017 and 15, respectively, looked at it from calling it a collaborative economy, the on demand services economy, the gig economy, the freelance economy. So, if you hear any of these terms, they're all used interchangeably. And basically, it refers to the sharing activity of underutilized assets with the help of IT-based technology. So it's nothing new. It's just again the platform in which we're presenting it is a little different. So, the main drivers towards this economy, how did it emerge and why are we here and why is it so important to us? The main drivers is basically consumer behavior. We're switching now from ownership to access. Now, I'm a part of a very unique group of consumers and producers called the millennials, and there are a few in this room. And we're kind of changing and shaping the way in which we consume things. So we're looking more, less to ownership rather, and more to access. And that is what is causing all these radical innovations to take place right across our landscape, and in particular in tourism. Now, the biggest success factors of the sharing economy is online reputation. And my colleague again, Anne Crick, also mentioned, the feedback system and rankings in terms of host and super host and all of that. Very important for us to look at. So these are some of the brands that come about under the sharing economy: Uber, Airbnb, Homestay, Lyft, WeWork, all of these, Craigslist, Couchsurfing, all of them are part of the sharing economy. So peer-to-peer accommodation, this is where people provide accommodation directly to consumers using a digital platform. And these are temporary stays in the homes. Airbnb in particular for P2P accommodation, most people call it Airbnb, but there are also other platforms that are very much relevant to us and is affecting the Jamaican tourism accommodation landscape: TripAdvisor, HomeAway, and also Booking.com. Now, just to share some data with you, globally, peer-to-peer accommodations, they're 7% of total accommodation around the world, 8 million beds. It's estimated that the number of transactions that took place was actually 75 billion US in 2017. And the trends and findings, again, the millennials are the ones who are driving this form of innovation. And also, it is not limited to budget travelers. It's not just about cheap travel, but efficient travel as well. And it was initially for the leisure market, but we find from my studies that the business traveler is also another trending market. So for entrepreneurs who are trying to get into Airbnb, an aspect that you could look at in terms of growth is catering to the needs of the business traveler. So Jamaica, what is happening with Jamaica and what does it mean for us going forward? Jamaica was chosen as one of the countries for a pilot study by the World Bank in 2018. So they came to the Ministry of Tourism and they wanted to study peer-to-peer accommodations in the Caribbean, and Jamaica was the country chosen. But why is the World Bank interested in peer-to-peer accommodation? It is said that it can help to eliminate poverty, boost shared prosperity, and also its contributions for income generation for a broader group of people, in particular women, which I'll be looking at tomorrow. So in Jamaica, just to put things into perspective, there is over 5,000 active listings on Airbnb in Jamaica, 7,600 in total. So that's a recent statistics that's coming from Airbnb. So we have 7,600 hosts, 5,000 active, which means they're actually getting bookings and doing well. TripAdvisor Rentals also has 2,300 listings. HomeAway has 950 listings, and Booking.com has 1,124. So it's not just Airbnb, but it's just that Airbnb is one of the platforms that has seen the most growth throughout the years.
Thanks for staying with us for coverage of the Mona School of Business and Management's 4th Business Conference. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Have grown from 20 million US to now having 800 million US dollars.
Knowledge, skill, and professionalism. Those are my tools and my armor.
It's a big men don't cry, right? It's a big men don't cry, right?
We were being robbed some $531,000.
I've been angry to the point where I feel like I will get it big.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, delighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV. The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
Hi, I'm Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, and you are watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
I am Valerie Vieira, Chief Executive Officer, Jamaica Business Development Corporation. At heart, I'm a true country girl, and still is, despite having lived and went to school and university in Kingston. I am very fortunate to have a family that's a real family. I have an older brother and I have 4 sisters. I'm the older one, so I'm the mistress of the clan. But we grew up as a team and we still operate as a team. And with the new ones coming on board, the nieces and nephews, it's a larger team. Very fabulous experience growing up with these people. I am in the public sector from day one, and it's a kind of family history because all my family have served at some point in their life in the public sector. Many of them have branched out into their own businesses, but they still find time, even then, to be part of the National Development Program. So I guess it was sort of natural. I never thought of going anywhere else but working at a national level in the public sector. You'll find that my qualifications from, I started university, and I'm still learning, by the way, and all the programs I have attended and participated in have been focused a lot on how you can contribute to national development. And I've had a very fulfilling life, career, and I can hardly think of a regret to this day. I might have had some obstacles which I converted into stepping stones to somewhere else, something else, a bigger plan. So I'm not one of those persons who have a lot of story to tell about all the hardships. I have more stories that overcome challenges along the way, which I have utilized to grow, really. And I still continue to grow, and I believe, again, based on my family kind of development, that we continue to grow if we want to really enjoy life. And I am still enjoying life a lot, even now. I come from a home where respect and integrity was not negotiable. And this, of course, has forward into my adult life. And respect was for every single person we encountered. My dad was a manager at JPS, Jamaica Public Service. We moved to Manchester when I was probably about 8. And that was when Jamaica Public Service was introducing their services in that area of the country. When he was asked to go to Mandeville, that was like, my goodness, what a disaster, because they're just about to build their dream home in Seville, in St. Anne. Well, you know, it turned out to be a very important experience for all of us. What I saw from his work, and I say was because he passed about 3 years ago, but what I learned instinctively from him, one, as I said before, respect was due. He was never the boss. He was the manager of a team. So respect was due. Integrity, he was one of the first persons to be receiving national honors from the JPS team. And we're very proud of that. He also taught us that every member of the team was important, which again has impacted my own operation, even at JBDC. People will often hear me say that if our gardener, aka he says he is the environmental manager, and he is, if he doesn't do his work well, when you enter JBDC's compound, you start with a bad impression. So I learned that from him as well. As I said, he probably was even a little bit naive in terms of never thinking that people would do evil. We just grew up thinking that there's good in everybody. We grew up learning to share. He paid many school fees for people, even without us knowing. And that again has guided me fast forward into my adult life, because I've fostered a young lady who I'm very proud of, who is now married, and actually I have a grandson from her. But there are other people who I have quietly supported, not because you want any acclamation, but because it's the right thing to do. My mother was his queen, and so she was the queen of the house, and he would respect that. I've never heard him speaking hard to her. My mom was stay at home, and maybe that was something that was excellent for us. We learned a lot at the kitchen table apart from cooking. One of those things was to save. If you earn $10, you can't consume $10. And when we started getting pocket money, which was like 2 shillings, that's dating me, we had to put 1 shilling in the saving box. And the end of the month, my sister and I had to go to the post office bank to put that money in the bank. We thought 2 shillings to put in the bank was just not for us to do. My parents, they were not interested in that. They were interested in the fact that we must learn not to consume all that we have. And surprisingly, that saving was part of the down payment for our house, which we now have in Kingston. My parents wanted to train us how to apportion your income. Part of that was entertainment as well, but a big part had to be savings. And I've taken that into my adult life. So I'm not one of those persons who consume every dollar that I earn. And I'm not persuaded that if you earn what you think is a small salary, that you need to consume everything. I'm more persuaded that you need to adjust your lifestyle to save something. And my parents always said that we as young women should never ever have to be looking to get married or so on because we need somebody else to complete us in any way. In fact, we're told that we were all people, full people. So if you were seeking a partner, it should be another full circle that joins with you, not a half person looking for another half person to make a whole. So we have had some of those sound foundations from home. And it has taken me into my work. The MSME sector is acknowledged, recognized. It's at the table for the conversation, making their input, not being spoken of, but being spoken with.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
Pretty much forward. I came back with a confidence that I had new skills. And I feel, having experienced that I share that with my staff, because we have a young staff at JBDC, and I always say to them, you need to continuously be learning something new, or else you'll be left behind. I take it to my own family, my nieces and nephews, 100% behind them to move forward with their learning process. And when I came back, they had just restructured JNIP, JIDC, which is where I was from, and the Jamaica National Export, JNEC. They were now JAMPRO. And they asked me what area I would be interested in coming back to. And I selected the technical area. And I became in charge of negotiating technical assistance for Jamaica, for under JAMPRO programs and so on, and managing a technical team, which included engineers and so on. Remember, I'm not a technical, I'm an administrator. But I learned that you should not necessarily be the engineer who manages a team, because the role of the manager is not to necessarily be doing all the specific work, but to ensure that it happens. So I had that team. And as I said, there was an alignment, because I came back, I must say, and I don't usually talk about it, but I got a great mark in the negotiation program. And it equipped me very well for that kind of work. So I got into good books with the UNDP people. So we had a program that I led in the negotiation, which actually turned out to be the foundation for the JBDC now. Because that program, through good management with the team, I had a strong team, we then evolved into the organization that is now Jamaica Business Development Corporation. It took a few years, but it was such an exciting journey. We started off with the micro and small business sector being seen as the flavor of the month. It was politically correct to say you're supporting these people. But I was clear that it needed more than that. And I was fortunate to have in my team people who shared the vision. And we embarked on a program of really getting the sector recognized as a key part of economic development. If anybody asks me what would be a legacy that I would be proud of, one of them would be that the MSME sector is acknowledged, recognized. It's at the table for the conversation, making their input, not being spoken of, but being spoken with. And almost every institution at tertiary level now speaks of small business and entrepreneurship and all of that. Before now, entrepreneurship was only big man thing. You had to have money, you had to have a big factory and all of this. And I do recall my team and I, did we say we're a little off? We took a container and we got some blessing from the government at the time, the minister we had, and he allowed us. We took a container and converted it into a movable factory. We went all over Jamaica, having it on a flatbed truck, taking it all over, talking about production in a container, showing that production don't have to be a big factory. Exciting days. We're all over the place. And meeting with the real people. As a country girl, I love to relate to my country people. They are real people. And we were so excited when we could share with them possibilities that were pregnant for development. You know, demonstrating that small business is big business if done right. And this is really the essence of JBDC. How do we provide support to small businesses at all levels? Whether you're making tambourine ball for the pharmacy, it has to be done to standards. It has to be properly priced. Sanitation have to be right, just as if you're making it to export. And this has been the belly of JBDC. And that is a legacy that when I sit in my rocking chair, I will really feel excited that the MSME sector has come into its own. It even has a policy and others coming out of that main policy to support their development. And now the profile has changed dramatically from being somebody distributive trade to university graduates coming out and starting their own, small businesses. I'm very excited about that. JBDC has been in existence since 2001. We learned early in the day that we needed to translate our language. At one point, we spoke to ourselves. And our lead consultant then is Greek. And I said, Mr. Todi, if we talk Greek, nobody answers us to understand what we're saying. So guess what? We need to go back to basics and speak the language that can be understood. So we were so caught up at first into the concepts, and it was fantastic, exciting, all of us. But we needed to speak the language, which we easily converted. To say that we have gotten support, I'd say yes. From day one, Mr. Patterson then was our Prime Minister, and he launched JBDC. We have never turned back since then. All our ministers, to different degrees, have provided support. You see, we are not an organization that you can forget that's there. We are not that kind of team. We are very forward-thinking and in your face. Everybody knows that JBDC will go where angels dare not. And if you want an example of public-private sector partnership, JBDC would be one of those organizations. Lots of our programs are funded by private sector organizations. They couldn't happen without that. We also negotiate and stand on our reputation for successful delivery of programs with the international communities. We work outside of Jamaica as well, and we do earn some money from that. So putting all that together and going back to my childhood where you learn to live on what you earn, we have managed to be doing good work. You can earn big money as a small business, even more so now with technology.
Hello, my name is Blake Widmer. I'm the co-founder of Def Can Coffee. And the exposure that we had to the just general community through Business Access TV itself is awesome. It was a big deal for them, having BATV come here, and we were with you guys for probably 4 hours that day. It was a long time. We really appreciate your guys' openness to recognize that, yeah, captions are important. If a deaf person's watching it, how are they gonna understand what's being said? So looking back is just a big boost, encouragement for our team. If you're a business or an organization that wants to have yourselves featured on BATV, or you want to do advertising with BATV, what I would tell them is that you guys listen well and you ask good questions, and that will help at the end of the day deliver a really good product for your business too.
Your business matters. Promote it on Business Access TV.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
This is Caroline Smith, marketing implementer for Sol Western Caribbean for Shell Lubricants, and you're watching Business Access TV, and they are serious about business.
this is exciting days for MSMEs. What is critical in our understanding is that whereas before industry and economic development spoke to big companies making big impact, in analyzing, we recognize that in every industry, every single one, barring none, there is a segment for the MSMEs to operate successfully. And that is usually the most exciting part, by the way. It's usually the creative aspect of it, the specialist areas. So if it's food and they're making tambourine ball, it's not the regular tambourine ball. And you see that in our things we make shops. You don't find that agility so much in a large company. So I think the psychological shift that people recognize that there are many benefits that can be derived from being a small, efficient, effective operation. You can earn big money as a small business, even more so now with technology. And this is what JBDC is all about. And we have different levels in the profile now. We just had cohort 2 of our accelerator program launched. And these are about 20 high growth possibility companies that we have identified, mainly young businesses, young people, who with a little help can really make it big in the marketplace. So you have that kind of group. And we see how we use some of the experienced business people to mentor them and to help prepare them for the marketplace. In the first cohort, some have even become suppliers to large ones, and they're in export. So it's not about you being small and everything about being sort of, other. It's about where in that value chain you fall as a small business. What we are working on now is the kind of enriching support that we continuously have to give from an organization like a JBDC. So we do have the business advisory group who will help them formalize and, sort of go through the concept. But we have a whole resource center that provides technical support to them, or engineers, or food technologists, or product designers, and so on. This is service that the government now is paying to provide to the group, So it's just like a person, an individual, need to know what is their need. And this is what we do at JBDC. So it's an exciting time for the small business people, because more and more people want design-led products. These are the products that a small producer who has the agility to change, to respond quickly to consumer tastes. These are the opportunities. The opportunities are pregnant for exploiting, And this is what we are behind to make sure that the support system is there. And I know a lot of people talk about finance being a kind of block. And there is some limitation which we are helping to work through. But finance comes when you have the product right, when you have the business right, when your governance structure is right. And I always say B&B don't work. Bed and boardroom don't necessarily work. That you have to run a tight shop because you don't have the fat of some of the larger companies to do it wrong and recover. But the demand for specialist products is really blossoming, not only in Jamaica, internationally. So it's how you help that group and support them, because the large ones have gotten support over the years. I have asked also that we develop a manual on step-by-step entry into the external markets. We work closely with JAMPRO on this, but I say for JBDC, we need to have clear the steps to get into the Canadian market, get in the US market. And we are saying, by the way, that market don't equal US. We as JBDC, we are looking at the regional market as a great opportunity as well. So we're focusing a lot on that because we know that we're doing the work in terms of product development, but we have to move forward, because it's business, we have to look forward now into market. Our ministry that we fall under, that portfolio, includes agriculture. And so we're working back with our colleagues in agriculture, and we're looking at the extraction industry, for instance, how we can develop that, because a lot of our spices and our herbs and so on can be converted to many other products. It's the base for many products, and we have really lagged behind in that. We're getting a lot of support, and we're working together with the agricultural side of our ministry to make sure that that becomes a critical part. We can use it in the spar products, using the specialty foods, even some of them for dyeing, is part of that whole process. So it's not only about somebody who is in distributive trade. It's about all business opportunities. This is what we do every day, seeking new opportunities, but under a big umbrella. So while we explore one thing, we see how we can expand that umbrella to bring on board other activities, business opportunities in the value chain. Many people are scared to share because they have been burnt. And key for us at JBDC is that your information, we're committed to confidentiality. So you don't have to be nervous to share. What we will say to you is, if it's something that you need to register your IP, intellectual property, we'll guide you through that process. Where we can provide the service that you need is for us to guide and negotiate with other agencies, whether it's local or international, to ensure that your basket has in it all the components that you would need to move forward. And in our system, failure is not a disaster. I have two aspects to wealth. Wealth in terms of money is not all the money I might have in the bank, but that I'm able to pay my bills without people knocking on the door. That is important wealth, because I grew up in that system where we never had people we have to hide from anybody to pay a bill. Secondly is when you can look people in the eye. That to me is the greatest wealth. When you can look people in the eye without hesitating, because you don't feel guilty that you have gone out of your way to do anybody harm. I think that the peace that comes from that is the most fantastic wealth you can experience, when your inner spirit can be calm despite all the noise around you, because you have done your best.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
empowering deaf and hard of hearing people to help build our nation. That's exactly what the Jamaica Association for the Deaf is doing. Caring Hands recently visited the facility to meet some of the people that are benefiting from the association and who are helping to make a change. This is Kamar Groves, a deaf culture facilitator and technical assistant at the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. Having lost his hearing at the age of 3 following a bout of fever, Groves has proven himself to be very adept at computer repair and installation, and has become a proficient videographer and editor since joining the JAD in 2005.
Basically, my role is I'm a technician, and I have actually a variety of responsibilities. One being I do computer repair, as well as I develop manuals such as the manuals they use for teaching sign language in the sign language class, as well as create DVDs for teaching various participants to learn sign language, as well as creating those DVDs for instructional purposes on helping people to develop the sign language appropriately. And then I also travel to various of the schools to do filming for whatever is needed, whether it's for the teachers or even the students. And then we have a team that work together to evaluate the filming, what needs to be changed, what needs to be improved, and then also, what we can do with helping the students to improve in their sign language skills. When I first started working here at JAD, I was doing what is called BLSH, which is both language, spoken, heard. That's what it classifies as. And basically what it is we had a variety of children's storybooks that we would translate into Jamaican Sign Language. And then we would visit parents' homes and teach them how to sign those stories so that they can read with their children in those storybooks in sign language. And as time went on, I became the official technician here. My achievements, I would say, is one, getting married. And I got married to a hearing person, which is something I wanted to do, as well as being able to assist others by doing computer repair, as well as being able to expand my skills of teaching sign language as a sign language instructor, as well as being part of, for example, member of the board. So being able to participate in that. And now I'm a president of Deaf Sports Jamaica. So I have achieved quite a number of things in my life. I did attend school at Listomere Gilby High School and learned some things, but very basic, like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Access. Learned some basic computer, how to do things on computer, but I also experimented with YouTube. I like to observe how things are done on YouTube and then try it myself, and I'm one of these people that try it until I've learned how to perfect it. So that's pretty much how it worked.
Some members of the deaf community are being equipped to gain meaningful employment through skills training at the JAD Bindery. The Bindery had its genesis as a skills training facility to train deaf youth in the craft of presentation and renovation of bookbinding. It was conceived as a center that would provide vocational training in a profession which was compatible with the deaf community.
My name is Valerie Facey. I'm chairman of the Danny Williams School for the Deaf. I am a member of the executive board of the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. And I am the person who conceived of the idea of the bindery and is hoping to see this new building for the bindery happen before I leave the planet. I've always been passionately involved with books. I love books, and I'm now a sort of very small publisher. But publishing and binding and anything to do with books is very dear to my heart. And I thought, you know, I think this would be a good thing for people who are deaf because you work with your hands and your eyes. And as long as you have dexterity of your hands and you have an eye for design, and it would be something that you could be trained to do. You don't need to talk, really. And so it was an experiment. And it actually worked very well to begin with, but we didn't know enough about running a business, and so unfortunately we failed on that occasion after quite a few years. And then we reestablished it, I think it's nearly 20 years ago now, up at Papine, where we now have the Lister Mayor Gilby School, and on one side of the road, and this is all at Papine, and we have the Danny Williams School and the preschool on the other side. So we're still out there trying to find a way to put up this building so that we can expand the bindery into something that will really be meaningful and will be self-sustaining and make a real mark for the deaf, because we can do all sorts of wonderful products. Desk sets, for example, which is leather or bindery material. We can do portfolios, scrapbooks, wedding albums, funeral albums, guest books. I mean, there's no limit to the number of things we are capable of doing. But we need space to be able to train more people, and we need the facilities first before we can really move on with this. But I'm determined this year that we've got to get it done.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
In this 1 degree, you're able to do many things.
I think the field found me.
I'd rather work with the deceased than work with the living.
Let us open your mind to careers you've never considered.
Manager, model maker,
Game technician,
animator,
empowerment.
Career moves.
Anywhere money is, that's where I am.
Hey guys, I'm Candy and welcome to Chill Spot, Jamaica's ultimate leisure show. This season promises to reveal some of the hidden treasures of the lifestyle industry by taking you to the chill spots of some of Jamaica's most brilliant business minds, giving you a glimpse into how they choose to unwind and just pull a vibe. You won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
This is Caroline Smith, marketing implementer for Sol Western Caribbean for Shell Lubricants, and you're watching Business Access TV, and they are serious about business.
This is where Desmond Senior, the first deaf person to graduate from Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, and Ricardo Hibbert, who has been working at the binder for 12 years, spend most of their time doing what they love best.
There's a white man, his picture is actually on the wall over there, that gentleman there. He taught us how to do binding, and I learned very quickly how to develop that skill of bookbinding. I was also working at Listomere Gilbert School, where I actually did some binding there. And also, I've been working here for 20 years doing binding. What I like to do most is sculpting. And I enjoy sculpting more than actual bookbinding. Sometimes I would do that work at home. I would work on it even on, but I was fascinated with sculpting more than painting. So I began working on that on my own, so I really enjoyed it. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background. I went to school at Listomere Gilby High School, and once completing school, I came here. And one of the supervisors here taught me how to draw and helped me to develop experience and skill as a binder. Sometimes working here can be a bit stressful, but over the years of working here, I've gotten used to and accustomed to things, so I really do like it. We have a new gentleman by the name of Sean, and one thing that I have done is I have been his trainer, and Desmond also trains him as well. So we work together to train Sean since he's new, to help him to develop skills. I'm thinking to plan maybe to develop a business of making jewelry. So I'm not really exactly sure how I could go about doing that, but like the leather on watches and also necklaces and so forth. But that's something I would like to do.
The establishment of a school for the deaf started way back as far as 1938, and since then has become a safe haven for most.
I started with the Jamaica Association for the Deaf way back in 1954, when my father-in-law was the chairman of the association at that time. My father-in-law, C.B. Facey, Cecil Boswell Facey, worked with Reverend Gilby when he first arrived in Jamaica in 1938 with a mission to find deaf children and start a whole organization for the teaching of deaf children. So my father-in-law was involved from that time, and by the time I arrived on the scene, he was going to retire as chairman of the association. He was bringing in a new chairman, and he wanted me to join to represent the Facey family, which I was very happy to do. However, I didn't know anything about deafness or doing, I was new to Jamaica. I'd only been in Jamaica 3 years at that point, and I already had a husband and 2 children, so I was very busy. But anyway, I had to put my shoulder to the wheel and do whatever I could. So as an untrained person, I went out as a caseworker. And in those days, I traveled into Jonestown, Myerstown, Pasmore Town, Bellevue Hospital, all over the place in the inner city. And people assumed I was a nurse, and so they accepted me. And so there the blind were leading the blind, but it was the deaf this time.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got. Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Cameo takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
Effective Guidance is the platform for all students, and this is where Tash comes in as she provides an opportunity for students to relate to her on a daily basis.
I work as a school counselor. This is Lister Mayor Gilby High School, and basically my work entails from grade 7 to 13, assisting the children, helping them to identify themselves, as well as counsel them, as well as instruct them. And that's from grades 7 to 9. Now, from grades 9 to 10, I work with those students to help them to, once they identify who they are, they know who they are, help them to establish goals for the future, help them to analyze their skills, what it is they value in life, and I work with them on a one-on-one basis so they can identify what their goals are for the future. From grade 10 to 11, I assist them with career planning, how they can transition from school to work, providing them with resources, whether they want to attend university or to do some type of particular job. I assist them with helping them get training to do that. So I also do parenting and work with the teachers as well to help lessen behavioral problems with the students, as well as work with the parents on any challenges that they're having at home, assist them with that in order to help them to advance well here at school.
There's so much that we don't know about the capabilities of the deaf. One of them is the fact that they can actually dance to music that they cannot hear. A team from the Lister Mayor and Gilby High School recently entered the Jamaica Cultural Development National Deaf Dance Competition, which was developed for the deaf.
We got a story. The theme for this year's festival was child abuse and the awareness of child abuse. And so we all got, we did workshops using stories and frames for us to create our dance from. When we came back and I was discussing the story with the students, they kind of wanted something else because neglect is the abuse that is most common to the deaf. So they wanted to do something on neglect. So we all pulled our ideas together, and once we got a storyline of these two children who were neglected by their parents, we kind of built from there. So the students are really good with routines, and once they get a feel of the music and I tell them the kind of music and give them the tempo, once they hit the rhythm, they're gone.
Despite the challenges, there is always hope, and the love that they have for what they do gives them the satisfaction in knowing that they are helping to make a difference in developing themselves as well as others.
Sometimes working here can be a bit stressful, but over the years of working here, I've gotten used to and accustomed to things, so I really do like it.
They are full of a lot of energy. It's really a great experience working with them. The thing I love most about my job, the children. I really love it, I do.
I feel personally that everyone has their individual potential. And working with the students, and I see the students have their aha moment, so to speak, recognizing their own potential, it brings me great satisfaction being able to learn various skills from volunteering here in the past, working with other teams, has really personally benefited me. It has empowered me to be more of an advocate, as well as to teach others or educate others on how they can work with the deaf community, as well as empowering other deaf people within the community. My actual goal, since I work as an artist, what I would like to do is have my own exhibit.
The work that goes into teaching those children and trying to make them citizens of this country and to be educated, it's a miracle when that happens.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange wishes to help to develop the social sector. To that end, they have formed the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is a safe, efficient, and transparent platform that aims to promote social projects that build Jamaica and will inure to the benefit of all persons living in the country.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company that encourages and mobilizes capital for the main market. And that is the market that is not the social sector. Now, the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is really geared towards the social sector to help to solve social problems in the field of health, education, about children, environment. Those are some of the things that we consider social problems. And so it is to mobilize the capital, allow persons who have a desire to invest in a social good, to invest in the social stock exchange. It is designed in two parts. In phase one, where we look at social investment, and phase two, where we look at social impact investment. Now, in phase one, really what we are saying is it is donation. An organization will have a social issue and design it into a project or a program and invite Jamaicans or persons within the diaspora or the entire world to fund this program. Now in phase two, you're going to get a return on investment which is not social. You will be getting shares, natural shares, as you would get if you invested in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And what you'll get is a return on capital, which is possibly dividend or an appreciation in that share. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange does more than ask for the funding of these programs, but goes beyond that in terms of monitoring, ensuring that these programs are meeting the targets and the reason for them to have asked for funding in the first place. When we look at this new sector, it is important because holistically, if you do not look on the social sector, you do not improve the encouraging and the growth and development of businesses.
Hello, my name is Blake Widmer. I'm the co-founder of Def Can Coffee. And the exposure that we had to the just general community through Business Access TV itself is awesome. It was a big deal for them, you know, having BATV come here, and we were with you guys for probably 4 hours that day. It was a long time. We really appreciate your guys' openness to recognize that, yeah, captions are important. If a deaf person's watching it, how are they gonna understand what's being said? So looking back is just a big boost, encouragement for our team. If you're a business or an organization that wants to have yourselves featured on BATV, or you want to do advertising with BATV, what I would tell them is that you guys listen well and you ask good questions, and that will help, at the end of the day, deliver a really good product for your business too.
Your business matters. Promote it on Business Access TV.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got. Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
In this 1 degree, you're able to do many things.
I think the field found me.
I'd rather work with the deceased than work with the living.
Let us open your mind to careers you've never considered.
Miniature model maker.
Game technician.
Animator.
With empowerment.
Career moves.
Anywhere money is, that's where I am.